Good day, my name is Noni Kumalo, your host. Sitting next to me is the founder of Levels App. She is a qualified chartered accountant. She is an award-winning entrepreneur who's passionate about education, technology, and innovation. And in 2018, SAICA nominated you as one of the top 35 under 35. So you are quite accomplished, Miss Bujani Suhua.
Yes,
How are you?
I'm very well at you,
I'm
Nani.
fantastic. You are doing some amazing work with Levels App. Tell me more about it and what inspired it.
Thank you very much, Nani. Thank you for being part of the Levels App story. So yes, Levels App is an award-winning edutech company that specializes in career guidance. So we assist secondary school learners apply for bursaries, for TVET college qualifications and university qualifications, and we assist graduates apply for workplace opportunities. So basically work integrated learning programs, in-service training, graduate programs, so really just assisting them with the transition from basic to higher education. At the heart of it, what we've done is we've aggregated all of the different qualifications from TVET colleges, from universities, put them on one platform, found over 1,000 bursaries, put them on one platform, and we've aggregated the information so that it's super easy and user-friendly for you to apply to university, to college, and for a bursary, and to really access that information, to transition into the next stage of your life and, to level up.
Tell us more about the qualifications that exist in the insurance sector.
So our sponsors are Insita, and we've been working with them quite closely in our partnership to really spread the word and message about insurance sector qualifications. At Levels App, we focus specifically on scarce skills. So the Department of Higher Education every year releases a list of scarce skills qualifications. And basically that's really what you should be applying for. That's really what you should be focusing on. These are the skills that you need in order for you to get a job, because youth unemployment is a scourge. It's a national crisis. So what we've done is we've identified all of the qualifications in insurance, and they include things like, being an actuary like Katleho, our stunning lady that we're interviewing, and, life planning, computer science. So there's computer science in, insurance and agri-insurance, if you've ever heard of that. So really a plethora of opportunities, many different qualifications that you can study towards, and really focus on those critical and scarce skills.
You speak about it being a scarce skill, and for me growing up, even the universities didn't really offer the type of scarce skills. What institutions across the country offer qualifications that are in the insurance sector?
So Northwest University, University of Free State, where Pavalo studied as well. And then obviously, the big ones. So UCT, WITS, UP. So really a plethora of options. And, if you want to study at any of those institutions and more, you just call us at Levels App. We'll find you the right qualification. We'll look at your marks. We'll see what you qualify for. And we'll look at that institution's qualifications and we'll help you apply.
Jeez. You made it very easy for these matriculants to get through. Really appreciate it. So because you've done such amazing work, can you give us a feel-good story from Levels App?
Definitely a feel-good story would be when one parent approached us, because parents are primarily our customers, so we engage with the family, because that transition from basic to higher education, from childhood to adulthood, where you really start and begin to adult, actually happens in the home, so we actually journey with the family to assist them with that transition. So a parent approached us, her daughter got 90% for physical science and for mathematics and for English, and she couldn't get a bursary.
No.
That is, it's unbelievable, and it's a true story. And we were actually able to find her 5 bursaries. So it was literally at the last minute. In January, she couldn't go to school. She couldn't raise funding for her registration fees. She'd applied to all these incredible institutions to study towards an actuarial science qualification, but she just didn't have that funding. So we were able to come in, intervene, and really, help her with that. And I mean, we're still in contact with her to this day. She's doing exceptionally well. And, she's part of the, the students that can tell the really good news stories about our company and our work.
Yeah. Oh, now that is a feel-good story. Where to from here with Levels App?
So we've been touring the country. We've been going on the road, school to school, from across 5 different provinces, and just sharing the good news story about Levels App, because everybody has a career guidance story that they have to tell. Everybody has a career guidance crisis in their lives, or turning point or, pivotal moment. So we're really coming in at that moment and really assisting people to find what it is that they can study towards and, how they can make the right choices based on their subject choices, their marks, and, their capabilities. So really just an incredible journey ahead. We really just look forward to helping more people in more communities. Our services are extremely affordable. It's literally as little as 500 Rand to access to every single qualification across South Africa in every single public higher education institution. I don't think that you're going to find that anyplace else.
I don't think so too, because I didn't have that growing up. So keep the good work going, Bojani.
Thank you very much.
It's such a pleasure to be a part of this journey with you.
Stunning. Thank you very much and all the best to you. And we hope to see you continue to level up.
Love it.
Stunning. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Noni Khumalo, your host, and with me is Katleho Pavi Makubu, who is an associate actuary. She has an honors degree in actuarial sciences from the University of the Free State, and she works for the biggest reinsurer globally, Munich Re. Hello, Pavi.
Hi, Noni.
How are you? I'm fantastic. So we're going to be having a chat today because you have come a really long way. So we're going to be starting from when you were very young, and then we're going to jump straight into where you are today. So growing up, did you always want to be an actuary?
That is the key question. So for me, I've never really grown up wanting to be an actuary. A lot of us, especially growing up more educating, there's teachers, there's nurses, there's accountants. Actually with me, I wanted to be creative. I was really a creative child. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to paint. One day I came to my mother and told her that. She's like, my girl, please sit down.
Think about you.
And then she asked me, like, what are you really passionate about? What do you enjoy? And then going back to the subjects at school, I'm like, goodness gracious, most probably if I had to paint something, I'd get 50% or something. But when it comes to your maths, your accounting subjects, I do quite well in them because I'm really interested in them. So in terms of that, she's like, based on that, you have accounting, there's mathematician, what do you want to do? And I thought maybe accounting is not so bad, like you get to do the maths and the accounting. So I decided to be an accountant. That was my route. I was laser focused in terms of becoming an accountant. I remember it was my final matric year actually, when I learned about actuarial science. There's an organization called SATP. They go out to schools, tell them about actuarial science, also provide bursaries as well. At that point, I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm super laser focused on becoming a CA. So I'm like, whatever, never mind that. But then it was around the September time when I was really cementing, what do I really want to become? What am I applying for at university? I was busy signing bursary agreements for an accounting bursary, which had tuition, accommodation, everything in the works. And then I got to a clause that mentioned you're going to be stipulated to stay in a specific race. But then for me, my values and foundation is family. So I'm like, I want to stay in the same race as my sister. So what story do I tell my parents to be able to get out of this contract and be able to stay in the same race as my sister? And then I tell them, no, I had an aha moment. I'm going to study actuarial science. They're like, my girl, what is this actuarial science? I'm like, I don't know. But then there's something bigger in me telling me this is the path that I need to go. I don't know I'm going to do it. They're asking me, do you have a bursary? No. Do you know what it is? No. So what is the plan? I'm like, at the end of the day, I trust that God will make things happen. This is the path for me. This is what I'm choosing. And that's how it's going to be. So massive argument. I remember my little sister coming into the room. Mama, daddy, please, come on. When she's made up her mind, that is it. So there's no need to argue because now things are flaring up. I want to do this. I don't have a bursary, but who, what, we, how. So that's the pinnacle moment of when I started or I decided to study actuarial science. And I was really quite fortunate. So from that point on, I worked really hard to nail my final exams. And I got a bursary through the university, through the Free State department actually. And then I was able, like January, I was there changing degrees to from accounting to actuarial science. And I was really excited. I was like, thank you, God, I finally get to do this thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm really passionate about it. And I think this is the path for me. And ultimately being brave enough to make such decisions and knowing that with such decisions, there's also the downside of it. What if you didn't get a bursary? What if it wasn't the right path for you? So to the students out there, if you make such decisions, know there's pros and cons and being able to understand, are you willing to live with the cons if you are faced with your adversity now with no bursary? with no accommodation or no means of paying for your accommodation. So that's my actuarial journey and how it
Jeez.
started.
That is fantastic. Maybe let's jump back into how you came about with your subject selection when you were in high school. What were your subjects that you focused on in order for you to get into this journey of actuarial sciences?
I did your math subjects, I did accounting, I did business science as well as economics. The main decision for that was I had decided a long time ago, I don't want to be a doctor, I don't like science, I don't like physics, so I'm not going to take those subjects, which is again a brave or a bold decision to be making when you're in grade 10 and not necessarily 100% sure of where you're going to end up. I did close a lot of doors because when you take your science subjects, it opens up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities. But for me, again, I was laser focused on being a CA. And when you think about what do you need to become a CA, you need those math subjects, you need those accounting subjects, you need business and economics. And I was really fortunate that also from an actuarial point of view, those are also the subjects that are required, your maths, your accounting, your economics, and everything else. So quite fortunate.
So you were able to pivot in the midst of the chaos. Absolutely love it. So let's jump straight into you being in university. Take me through your first day at university, if you can still remember, your fondest memory of you being on campus.
My first day wasn't too bad because again I had my sister with me. But then the first day when registrations were opened was a bit of a hassle because remember I had applied to study chartered accountant. So now I'm at that point where I'm trying to figure out, guys, how do I change degrees? What needs to be done? How do I sign? So a bit chaotic, very, very scary for me. But then at the end of the day, I was also excited because then it means that this is a new journey. These are new beginnings. And for me, it was a matter of going into this 3-year, 4-year journey. How do I make myself proud and how do I make my parents proud in terms of what am I doing here? I guess it also speaks to being authentic and knowing what do you want. A lot of people go into varsity and then you're free for the first time, you're trying things, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I'm not necessarily saying that you're not supposed to be exploring, but then it's a matter of exploring, but then being authentic yourself. You shouldn't do things because of peer pressure or because other people are doing this or that. You should do things because that is true to who you are. That is something that you feel will, I don't know, make you a better person or help you discover your passion or your purpose at the end of the day.
Take me through that journey, that 3-4 year journey for you. Where did the challenges start?
The challenges started with calculus. So remember now when you study actuarial science, you're saying, I'm great in math, so go for it. I like a challenge, so go for it. Yeah. I remember my first calculus exam, I failed it. So for me, that was my crucible moment. I remember seeing the results and then you literally need to check there. The marks are out, the names are out, you're checking, where am I? Where am I?
And
what
you're
did I
not too
get?
sure if that is you really.
And then you see the marks and then you start like, I need a ruler now to see, is it really me?
Sure.
It was a tough moment because then it goes back to as a smart person, you somehow use that as your identity. For me, maths was my identity. I'm good in maths, I'm good at school, and now to be failing means that, but then who am I at the end of the day? Which is really a tough one, especially now when you think about all these mental illnesses, what a lot of the young people are going through. For me, that was my crucible moment. But then, given that my mother is a teacher, we learned that nothing that is worth having comes easy. We were really drilled as children to be like, you need to focus on what's important, because at the end of the day, my parents always said, we're not always going to be there, and we want to equip you with the skills that you need so that when you're not there, you're still able to figure out life, figure out your way. So in terms of that, I had a bit of a cry and then went back to the values and the principles that my parents taught me. And then in terms of that, I went to my math teacher and like, listen here, I'm not used to failing, so what now? What am I supposed to do now? And it's about having those honest conversations to say that I'm not used to it, I don't know what's happening, what should I do to go forward? And at the end of the day, she's like, practice, 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 practice makes perfect. For me to help you, I need to understand what don't you understand, what do you know, and then you take it from there. And that's really, really important. And then another trick is that now I start asking around, guys, what do you know? Can you help? Can you assist? And then it comes out, hey, but then there's a USB stick with past papers and past assignments that's going around. It's like, but then why don't I have it? Who do I need to go to have it? Because that USB helps a lot, because then now you're practicing past papers and then helps you to understand, what do I understand, what don't I understand, where are my gaps, and then from there you can be able to ask for help, like tangibly ask for help on the things you don't understand, and not instantly get there, I don't understand, so help me, but then we don't know where to start.
And what you're saying, you speak about two very important things, because there's a misconception that maths is hard in high school, right? But you mentioned that if you practice
True.
all the time, maths shouldn't be that hard.
No,
and you
true.
also mentioned just seeking help from others, because sometimes I think we tend to isolate ourselves thinking that we can do things by ourselves. But I think when you get to university, ask for the support, go to your lecturers, go to some of your peers and see how they can assist you. I now want to ask you about striking the perfect balance in university. You spoke about being free and having that freedom. How did you structure your life to be that clear hope Abi, and then being a student, and then being a friend? How did you create that balance?
I think it starts probably with tilting. I'd say prioritizing different things at different moments of your life. So probably for me, the first year was really about getting to understand what is university about, what is this course about. I can't be out here failing in my first year, so a lot of my time, probably 80-90%, went to my course and studying and making sure that I get good, decent marks. Going into second year, I think that's when I started to realizing the balance in terms of, at the end of the day, when I get out of varsity, what are the things that I want to achieve? The main goal is to be employable. So for me, it was, if we all have the same degree, what is going to make me stand out? So in terms of that, that's when I started taking on more leadership roles, because I think for me, that's probably one of my strongest points in terms of I'm able to influence people, I'm able to listen to people, I give them that comfort that I got your back. So for me, that is the skill that I owned in my second year. And it was actually to my advantage, because then my current employer, that's how I got to meet them through putting my hands up, volunteering, doing this, doing that. You start getting noticed, and if you start getting noticed, people start opening up opportunities. And it speaks to probably mentorship and sponsorship. For me to sponsor you, I need to know what are your strengths, what are you doing, what are you passionate about, and based on that, I can be in a position where I can say we have vacation work that is aligned to what you're already doing. So for the students, I'll probably say that, like, understand what do you want to do, what are the skills you want to own, and be able to sharpen those so that when you go to an employer and say that I want to do vacation work, you can already say, these are my marks, these are extracurricular activities that I do. This is how I can benefit you as an organization. And then I went into my third year. So in terms of third year, again, it was around, you have the education pillar, you have the leadership pillar, and then I think from third year, that's when I started focusing more on relationships, being more social, building those networks and connections. And it also comes with building the connections with the right people. Actuarial science requires a lot of time, and I had friends that were very, very supportive. Even if I call someone up 6 months later and say, okay, I'm done with exams, let's have coffee, I have friends that are willing to show up, because they also know that if they call me and be like, this is the situation, I also am willing to show up. And then I think my honors year was when I relaxed.
Relaxed.
That is when I relaxed. I think in terms of that, I just wanted to know more about myself, what is out there. I started doing pageants as well. So I entered Miss Free State and I was the second princess there. And it was also quite nice, because then when you think about pageants, it's about public speaking skills. And those are the skills that I wanted to learn when I go into an interview. I need to be able to talk and interact and engage. The other one was also regarding business skills, because when you do a pageant, you need to raise funds. So for me, it's that entrepreneurship and business skills. And then the other one is confidence, which is a lot of what a lot of girls struggle with, that confidence. If you enter a room, if everybody's looking at you, are you be able to walk into the room confidently, be able to introduce yourself, have that elevator pitch and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is why I'm here. I'm taking a seat at the table and I own it, I deserve it, and no one in this room is going to tell me otherwise. So that is my varsity journey, being deliberate about probably each and every single year, being able to be flexible about it, and then tilting depending on the situation. If, for example, you don't necessarily have a bursary is about tilting, maybe starting a side job or side hustle to pay for your varsity fees, and understanding that, yes, my marks might decrease, but at the end of the day, I have the degree, everybody else will have the same degree, but then understanding what is important for me and my journey to be able to qualify.
Jeez. Take me through third year and fourth year. Do you graduate twice? Do you graduate at the end of 4 years? Is it an undergraduate and then a postgraduate? How does that work?
So at the end of your fourth year, that is your degree, and then my fourth year is when I did my honors degree.
Okay. Take me through graduation. Take me through the pride, the sense of relief when you just stood on that great stage and you're holding your degree?
I think for me, graduation is always a nice thing to go through. I remember when I was in high school, I was the Dux learner, and it was really nice because then it's a matter like, again, pride for myself and then pride for my parents as well. I remember when I was in my trick year, I got all these awards, and then my dad ran to the stage. He collected all my awards. I'm like, afterwards I thought, but then I didn't even touch one. Like, come on.
Give me a chance.
So for me, that graduation was a matter of probably reliving this moment. I've also been to my dad's graduation as well. I've been to my sister's graduation, my mom's graduation. So it's an accumulation of this family that it prides itself in education. For me, that graduation day also got on stage. I couldn't hear my dad from the background, super proud, super loud. And then it's a matter like, oh, I guess this time I'm not getting any awards, so no one is running on stage for me. But, but it's okay. Afterwards, like, I guess for me, graduation is really about that pride, what you worked hard for. And also a bit of a reflection to pat yourself on the back as well, to be like, I've really worked hard to get here. No one knows your journey or your struggles to get here, but being able to pat yourself on the back and being proud of yourself, and then deciding, we've got here now, what is next? What do I want to achieve next? Because the fact that you got here today means that you're much stronger than what you believe. So all that pride, all that family, all those values,
Euphoria.
all that education. So that's what graduation is about for me.
So let's talk about that next. Now you've got your degree. You've got that picture at home that everybody has of everybody in the graduation regalia. How do you then determine where to go to in the actuarial science space?
So for me, it was very, very easy, because remember when I said in second year I was focused on leadership, and then that led me to get vacation with Munich Re. So I got my vacation work with Munich Re for second year, third year, and when I did my honors as well, I was still doing vacation work, and they offered me an opportunity to get employment. So when I was in my offered year, hence I chilled, because I already knew I
had a
had
job.
Yeah, so in terms of that, for me, it was sorted. Hence, you need to be deliberate. When you start varsity, you're thinking 5 years down the line and what you need to do today, what you need to do on an annual basis or on a monthly basis. So for me, it was quite an easy transition. But for most people, I understand it's not. But then it goes back to some of the things that I spoke about. If you were to get into that interview, do you know yourself? Do you have those leadership skills? Do you understand what is the person they want to hire? Again, we all have the same degree. What is going to make you stand out at the end of the day is quite important.
But you've now differentiated yourself. You're an associate actuary. What does that even mean?
In terms of an associate actuary, is one of the designations within the Actuarial Society of South Africa. We have 15 exams that we need to go through. Majority of them, you would probably do it within your actuarial degree. One of them is being a student member. So while you're busy studying as a student, you can apply to be a student member of the Actuarial Society of South Africa, which means that if there is one of the exemptions that you miss in university, you can always write it with the institute. Then we have a technical member. When you're done with some of your core technical subjects, again, what you do at university, become a technical member of the Actuarial Society. To be able to become an associate actuary, you have 3 more subjects that you need to do, which is more focused on risk management, really understanding what does an actuary do and what are the different fields you can go into. And when I speak about the different fields, it's life insurance, non-life insurance, pensions, medical, so banking. So there's a lot of areas you can go into as an actuary, so understanding the different landscapes. And then once you get to a fellow or fellowship actuary, that is when you really decide, what am I going to specialize in? And in terms of that, you do 3 additional subjects, and now you specialize in this area that you really want to go into. And in addition to that, there's also the CERA designation, which is called a Certified Enterprise Risk Actuary. So in terms of that, you need to be an associate actuary, and then just write 1 additional subject that speaks to enterprise risk management. So a lot of designations and a lot of areas to really go into.
So you mentioned that you were pretty good at mathematics and accountancy, and you wanted to be a chartered accountant, but ended up pivoting on day of registration into actuarial sciences. I want you to chat to me about the importance of mathematics.
I think the importance of mathematics is that, especially coming from a background where my mother's a teacher, it was really drilled and ingrained with me that you really need to do maths. Maths is not that difficult. We spoke about practice makes perfect. And for me, what my mother instilled with me, you need to be curious. If your teacher tells you something, you need to ask, but then why is this so? How did we get there? How do I justify it in my mind that I'm doing this whole equation to get to where I am now? And with that practice and being curious, you actually realize that, it's actually not that bad. And with practice, the only way that you're able to enjoy it is that if you practice, then it becomes easy. Something that a lot of students probably think about once you start getting to grade 10 is that decision between maths and maths literacy. And a lot of teachers usually would nudge you towards the maths literacy part and say, you're not good in maths anyway, so just do the maths literacy, pass your matric year. But they're not thinking beyond your matric year. What are you going to be doing with maths literacy? It really limits your options, because when you go to varsity, students can just check prospectus and see, if I want to do accounting, if I want to do actuarial science, whatever degree that you want to do, what are the requirements to be able to do that subjects? And you see that maths is probably the most important and has the greatest weight when it comes to being able to be admitted into one of these degrees.
So maths is not that difficult. All you need is practice, and some more practice, so that you can widen up your options in terms of a career choice a little bit later on in your life. Let's chat about VAC work, because you mentioned that that's one of the things that really attracted you to the profession and made it easy for you to jump into the workplace. Talk to me about VAC work.
VAC work is really important. Again, as I mentioned, for me, the VAC work came from putting up my hands, volunteering, getting myself out there, and that was a result of me being able to get VAC work. A lot of students might not be in the same position where the opportunities come up. So as we spoke, it's really important to decide, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which career paths are there? Doing some research into the organization, and then going either on LinkedIn or on their website, getting that HR contact details, sending through your CV, sending your motivation in terms of, I really like your organization. This is what I'm about. These are the skills that I can bring to the organization. Can I do some VAC work or job shadowing? And when you do that job shadowing or VAC work, put your best foot forward. Be confident, dress well, ask a lot of questions, learn as much as you can, because that's how people get to understand who you are. Do you fit into a culture? Do you fit into the organization? And with me, that led to me being able to get a job a year even before I had to start working. It gives you that peace of mind when you're doing your honors year that I'm already sorted when it comes to work and work opportunities. VAC work for me, it's something that also gives you insight into, is this really the career or the path for me? Once you get into it, you realize, but then this is not necessarily what I signed up for, and you don't necessarily want to do a 3 or 4 year degree just to realize that this is not for me. So in terms of VAC work, it's not necessarily just about getting the experience or exposure, but then understanding, is this something that I'm willing to do for the next 40 or 50 years? And again, to be able to get that VAC work, you need to put yourself out there, be confident, and be bold, and not necessarily take no for an answer. Someone might say, no, you can't do it, but then if you continuously and persistently do it, you might be able to get a position. And then the other benefits of VAC work as well is you might even get a bursary out of it. So there's lots of benefits towards having VAC work, and then you just have to keep on pushing until you get the right opportunity for you.
Jeepers. I feel like you know everything that you need to do to be successful. Absolutely love it. Look, there's no secret that you are accomplished, with your honors, associate actuary. Where to from here?
Where to from here? It's an interesting question, because I think for me, the basis of who I am, it's really women empowerment and youth empowerment. In terms of that, often a lot of people say an actuary who is just an actuary is not an actuary. So when you look at the actuaries, that these up and coming young professionals, there's a lot of them that actually bakers, they're fashion designers, one is a farmer. So in terms of me, when I think about myself as an actuary and what I do beyond being an actuary, I'm actually a published author. And last year I published my book called Breaking the Glass Ceiling. So with this book, all I'm trying to do is make sure that females really take up this space within various organizations. They shouldn't necessarily limit themselves to what an organization says or historical disadvantages. So for me, that's really my passion. How do I make sure that I pave the way for the next generation of females? And how do I make sure that I equip them with the skills that they need to take on more leadership or more senior levels within the next 3 or for 4 years. So for me, that's really what I'm passionate about: women empowerment, youth empowerment, and equipping people with the skills that they need to take their career to the next level. So in terms of that, if that's my legacy or my passion or my purpose, then I'm really happy, because I have my own mentors and my own sponsors that are sorting out my career. And for me to be able to really sit at the top and say that I'm not here by myself, I see my fellow females, I see my fellow Africans up here, then for me that's what I'm looking forward to.
Is there a pinnacle to actuary? Like how when you get to university, when you have your PhD, that's the end of that degree, right? Then you have to start another degree if you want that. Is there a pinnacle to actuary?
Most people say that once you get your fellowship exams and now you're a fellow actuary of the Actuary Society, that's the pinnacle. But for me, that's the starting point. Because a lot of people now get to the point where they ask themselves, but then what now? I spent the last 6-8 years trying to qualify as an actuary. Who am I? Like, you sacrifice a lot of time with family, with friends, that now integrating back into society is a bit of a tricky situation. And most people often end up putting in that additional work or those additional hours into the work, which means that you're still not spending time with family, you're still not doing what fulfills you. So for me, that pinnacle point doesn't exist. There's always continuous learning. And for me, it's using the problem-solving skills, the analytical skills that we gain within this degree or within this profession, and use it for more social, more impactful type of situations. When you think about COVID, when you think about the KZN storms, it's truly actuaries that are supposed to be at the forefront of such situations, thinking about, guys, what are the different scenarios? What do we need to be doing? What measures do we put in place to mitigate some of the risks that these catastrophes bring to the people on the ground? Because when you think about actuarial science, or when you think about insurance as a whole, our point is to protect the policyholder. Our main objective is when someone dies, we pay out the claims. That is our jobs. When your house burns down, our job is to pay out the claims. So from an actuarial point of view, we make sure that organizations are solvent so that they can pay the claims at the end of the day. So for me, it's continuous learning, being able to figure out how do we use the skill sets to be able to sort out bigger issues than just trying to make organizations profits.
This has been such a beautiful conversation, and you've come so far in your actuary, in your philanthropy, in your leadership. I want to take you back to your 18-year-old self, and I want to chat to her for a little bit.
To my 18-year-old self, I'd say figure out what you want, be authentic to yourself, understand what is the person that I want to become, what skills do they have. It speaks more to your role models. For me, my mother's always been my role model, and the values that instilled within me is that you need to value education. So for my 18-year-old self, understanding that she's not doing it because she's a spiteful mother, but she's doing it because she loves you. So for me, understand what do you want in life, and then be bold enough to go for it.
Yeah. It's a wrap from Katlego Pabalo Makupu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will now hear from Wendy Ann Naidu, HR executive at Munich Re. She'll chat to us about the 3 C's: connect, challenge, and continuous learning. And then she gives us top tips on landing your dream job.
I'm super excited to be with you here today to share some of my learnings as an HR executive and mentor, helping you prepare for that job interview. Every year we get thousands of applications from various students, and all with the same qualification. And the question is, how do we distinguish between them? How do we look for the successful candidate? Today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 C's that would help assist you in preparing for this. The first C is really about connection, and connection talks about connecting with self, connecting with your purpose, and connecting with why. When the going gets tough, it's your why that's going to actually help you get through. And you may be sitting here asking, what is this purpose, why? But it's really about getting to understand self. So when I talk about connecting with your why, it's actually you connecting with what's important to you, understanding yourself, understanding your natural talents that you have been born with. I think the first step before applying for any job is to really think about what are your natural strengths. There's many tools available on the intranet that you can take advantage of. There's the Strength Finder that you could use. There's the Clifton Strength Finder and other tools that are readily available. There's also your family and friends that you can check in with to see, what is it that makes you unique or different. That is what the employer looks for. So the first step is actually to understand what are you about, what is important to you, and then map that out. Map that out on a vision board, write it down. It's important to refer to this when you're going through the various steps of this career search. So that is around your why or your purpose. Some examples would be is just thinking about, projects that you've been involved in at school, at varsity, some of the informal leadership positions that you take up, whether it's at church or in the community. Those are things that the employer is really interested in knowing. So it means actually reflecting on these things and actually weaving it into your application. So the second C talks about connecting with challenge. Applying for a job can be really daunting. There are many doors that closes during this process. But remember that it's important to maintain a positive perspective because the interviewer picks up when you are feeling disillusioned or demotivated. Know that with every door that closes, there is a door that will open. And if this door didn't open for you, it means that there is another door that would open. So remain optimistic. See your challenge as an opportunity of growth. Often it's through our challenges that we discover ourselves. When preparing for the interview, make sure that you research about the job, you research the company, and you prepare adequately. Listen to the instructions that you've been given. Get somebody to check your CV writing skills for you. Try to be short and brief on your CV. A recruiter never wants to see a 10-page CV. So make sure that it's at least 2 or 3 pages, high level on what you've done and high level what you can contribute. You will get many declines and know that when the right door opens, that would be the right one for you. So keep going, keep persevering, and don't lose faith. Also make sure that when you are attending the interview, you make sure that you're dressed appropriately. Nothing can be worse for a panel if a student hasn't actually done their research on the company and it is a formal culture and you arrive in jeans. So the safe route to go is smart casual, a shirt and a pants for a guy, a dress or a blouse and a pants for a woman. That should be adequate when you're going through for an interview. Remember, use all the examples that you've reflected on from challenges growing up. This is actually what would help you. You may not have the work experience, but you've got the life experience. And remember that you've come so far and don't underestimate all the things that you have been through. This is what the recruiter wants to know in getting to know you. So we've spoken about the first 2 C's. And the first C was actually just understanding yourself, connecting with yourself, getting to know what are your strengths, what are things that you need to improve on. The second C is around connecting with challenge that we've spoke about. How do you use your challenge as opportunities? The third one is really around continuous learning. So you've never quite arrived, no matter how long you've been in a job. You need to always remain sharp, sharpen up your skills, and always be learning. Now, I know the journey is quite new for you, and I'm not saying go and do another degree just yet. But there are many things on the internet that you can learn, like sharpening up on your Excel skills or word skills. There's many freely available courses. There's Udemy, there's LinkedIn Learning. There's also basic communication skills. So how do you communicate in an interview? You can actually pick that up from the internet. So use every opportunity for learning. Never remain stagnant. And remember to invest in yourself during this journey. Invest in your physical health, invest in your mental health, invest in your spiritual health. These are all things that will help you show up positively in an interview. It requires dedication, it requires discipline. And when you're finding that you're off track, go back to your vision board, go back to what you stand for, what you're about, and keep focused, and the right opportunity will land. On this continuous learning journey, just focus on being better than the day before. That would help you when you reflect on, in 12 months' time, how you've improved. And waiting for this job opportunity sometimes just requires you getting involved in your personal passions that you've identified in the first C. That should keep you busy before you land that successful job. Now that you've heard about the 3 C's, I hope that you would find it useful in preparing for that dream job. I want to share a little bit about Munich Re and what we offer. So we're a reinsurance company based in South Africa. We're a global organization, and we do a graduate intake every year of at least 15 to 20 graduates in various disciplines. You're welcome to apply on our website, www.munichre.com, under careers, and you will see that there are many job opportunities available, as well as a graduate internship program available in South Africa. We look at various disciplines, mostly in the actuarial science field. So if that's what you're studying, we definitely want to be able to see your CV. We do have legal, HR, finance as well that we take on, but it is predominantly in the actuarial field. We offer actuarial bursaries for final year actuarial students. So if you are interested, you can apply for that as well. And we've got a comprehensive bursary program once you are successful and you join Munich Re in order to complete your actuarial qualification. So I look forward to meeting some of you and look forward to you applying. Remember, the future belongs to those that dare to dream. I look forward to receiving your applications, and all the best in your career future endeavors.
We have reached the end of Meet the Mentor Career Guidance session. Thank you to our partners, guests, and most importantly, you for joining us. See you again soon. Remember to level up.